What's up, banana bunch? Bunch? Bunch?
Welcome to the Junglejims podcast. What's up, Banana Bunch? You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Junglejims podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and this is Toast. I'm Toast. I might be toasted, and hopefully you are too listening to this. That helps enjoy podcasts. You know the drill. At the top of the show, we're always doing all the clerical stuff, so make sure you download the Junglejims app. It is now available for the iPhone and for the Android. Not the Android. I don't think there is just one Android. There's probably like 11,000 of them, which is why it's so hard to develop apps for them. On the app, you can get weekly exclusive savings. My coworkers are apparently calling me while we're recording the show. Stop doing that, coworkers. No, but there are weekly exclusive savings that you can get through the app directly, all kinds of fun stuff like that. You can view the weekly ads so that you can see and plan for your upcoming shopping trips, all that kind of good stuff. It's really great. And then, of course, my favorite part, you can see the 5 most recent episodes of the podcast. So look at that. Thanks, John. Appreciate you putting me in there. That's really fun. Let's see what else. Oh, we've got some upcoming events. We've got the International Wine Festival coming up on November 9th. Tickets are still available for that. You can get them at junglejims.com. You can go to Jungle Fests if you want to bypass finding it on our site, junglefests.com, to get tickets. Or in my estimation, I think the easiest way is to follow us on Eventbrite, and that's eventbrite.com. You can find Junglejims on there. And it's not just our big festivals, it's like some of our wine tastings and other food events that we do here that are a little smaller scale too. Highly recommend doing that. That is the best way to find out what's going on. Okay, so let's lean into this. We got a wild episode today. We're going to be talking later on with Mike from Native Audio and trying some Fry Bread with his new Fry Bread Fuzz guitar pedal. Really excited about that. He's joined by former guest and musical guest on the show, Tyler Carson of St. Mary St. Mike. But coming up first, I want to talk about something that is going on right now. You're probably wondering why I'm holding this Toast plush. If you're listening along, you're not wondering that because you can't see it. But I am joined today by someone I'm very excited to chat with, Koji from Asianati. What's up, man?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, thank you. We got a lot of fun stuff on the table today.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the Blink Festival coming up it'll be the week of this episode's airing. Tell me about what you all are doing for Blink, because I'm already an unabashed huge fan, and we can talk about Asian Food Festival and all the stuff and how, I already smooched up to you off camera.
Right. Good. So yeah, we'd love to share. So we are having an opening an Asianati night market, which is an Asian night market fully curated by the Asian community here in Greater Cincinnati.
So cool.
And we started it in 2022, last Blink.
Yeah.
That was the first time, and we tested it out, see how it's gonna stick, and the chamber was very cooperative and said, why don't you guys do it as long as you don't bother us too much, because we're busy with the other things. So we did that, and it turned out great. It became one of the most popular hubs of all of Blink. And so now returning here in 2024, we have been invited back and trying to make it even bigger and better this time with a lot more events and activities.
Oh, that's awesome. I was so excited last time because I'm walking through, I am unbelievably parched, and I'm like, I can't believe there's not more. And then I remembered, I was like, oh my gosh, they did the night market here. And I went over, I got some drinks. It was a great, I was there very much at the end of the night, so I missed some of the food offerings at the time, but I was just so excited to get a bottle of literally anything. And then I was like, oh, not only is it anything, but a little international flair too. So very, very excited. I'm very excited you're back.
Excellent.
Tell me a little bit about Asianati across the board, as far as I know you kind of just hinted at it there, but what's the mission?
Yeah. So our mission is to be the connectors. We're the bridge that connects the Asian culture, the Asian awareness, the Asian community overall, and try to spread that awareness over within Greater Cincinnati. So really just connecting the bridges of the people, the organizations, companies. There's a large base of companies here too, so that we can really drive the diversity and inclusion in a better way.
I love that. Yeah. And everything I've gone to that you all have done has been great. I'll try, how do I say this as nicely as I can? I talked about the Asian Food Festival. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite events in town. And I'm not just, I've said that off air when you're not here, or on air when you're not here as well. But I genuinely mean that because A, it is so much fun. I just love Asian cuisine in general, right? But it's so much fun to try, not even just some of the established stuff, but then you bring in like the secret menu options. And that's the place to go. I'm like, all right, what family is cooking up something unique and interesting for me today? Every time it's a great experience. And well, I'll repeat this part. I think it's the best value food event that we have in town because my $6 seems to go way further at yours than it does at some of the other events. I know you wouldn't say that, but I will say it directly to camera. Make it more affordable. Other events, I want to support you the same way. So
That's great. That's great.
I love it.
Yeah, the secret menu. A group of how it started was a group of students from University of Cincinnati. They grew up. They went to school here. And while a lot of their friends said, well, we're going to go to the coastal sides, East Coast, West Coast, right? There's where more things are happening. There was a small group of people who said, well, why don't we do something here? Like, there's a good chunk of population of Asians. And they just started to say, okay, what if we maybe have a food festival? That might be something to start it. So they started in a small community center to start out with and trying to get any kind of sponsorship they could get.
Sure.
And over years, that just kept on growing and growing. People started talking and becoming more aware. And now this past Asian Food Fest was the 12th, I believe, 12th or 13th one. And it grew to, people coming, over 120,000 people came from not only Ohio, Kentucky, but out of the state just to experience it because now we're one of the biggest Asian type of food festival in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So it's come a long way.
That's so cool. Oh, gosh, 12 years. That's crazy. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, I feel like I only became aware of it probably just about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit less.
Okay, so you're a veteran.
I'm telling you, if I see the thing and I'm just like, wait a second, what kind of dumplings are we trying today? You know what I mean? I'm on board. The food, I will find the food rather. Or if not, it will find me. No, it's been a great event. And it's like one of those nice things that I love that I can rely on every year. I'm like, all right, spring's coming.
Great.
You know what I mean? Time to eat something delicious. So this year was crazy too. I mean, I went and it was raining when I was there. And I remember being it not heavily, but I'd gotten there and it was one of those, I took the Uber. I live in Northern Kentucky, so I took the Uber over and it the skies darkened on the way over there. I was like, uh-oh, I picked the wrong time to go. But what was crazy is that everybody stayed. And I just remember, I'll have to share you, they're stupid videos, but I was just shooting me walking through, eating things like point of view style. And I just could not believe how crowded it was still. I was like, it's raining. I thought Cincinnati people would leave for this. But I love it.
Yeah. So there were over 60 vendors, right? And a lot of it, to your point, they had the secret menus. The cool thing about the secret menu is people who are inspired to be a restaurant owner or a food, owner one day, they may not be, necessarily having the financial measures or they might not have the confidence yet, right? So they want to test out. So the founders of the Asian Food Fest, that's when they came and said, well, why don't we just give it an avenue? The event's great. So a lot of those people, they're just people at home, they have something for a hobby, they like cooking, those kind of people are testing it out. And it turns out those are, some of the best ones that come out too.
Without question. I mean, not that there's nothing bad there, right? But that's always like, it's just this step above that I don't know how to describe it. I think maybe for me, it's a little of the secrecy, right? Like I was like, oh, I mean, this is a surprise, right? But then also, it's just always something incredibly unique in a space of unique things.
Yeah.
Have you had any people that had started as a secret menu that now have a restaurant that you can think of?
Yeah. Let's see. If you go way back, I mean, places like now it's very big. The Lang Tang group, the Full Lang Tang, and those kind of people, they test things out a lot.
That's cool.
They would try their new menu items, and Kwan Hapa was one place. They were testing these new things. I remember that when I wasn't even part of Asianati yet.
Really?
So I was just one of you, visiting. This is a good place. So that morphed into a new restaurant. Like there are people who test it out and then they make it into a food truck. There are a lot of Filipino community people that make out it. There's a lot of Filipino food trucks now, which is great.
I kept running into the lumpia queen and I was like, oh, cool. This is a thing. Let's go,
I think I saw that in Westchester the other day. It was a random neighborhood festival. And
you're
just
lumpia
queen.
Well, right. And that's one of the things I get really excited about, right? Like, okay, so I'm not from the Midwest. I joke I'm from one of those coastal cities where I'm just like, oh, I live in the fold of the map now,
right?
But I love what I really loved about my time here is going from a place where it wasn't particularly diverse at the time when I first got here to being now, my comparison is like in New York City, I could eat whatever I wanted all the time. And then I get to the Midwest and I was kind of like, great, it's mostly cheeseburgers. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love it. But I love now, and I've really seen this in the last couple of years in particular, where even like at these little like local food truck things, you're like, oh, it's not just like the burger guy and the poutine truck. You're like, there's a lumpia. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, there's a bao bus. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's so cool. And I love that. What it's telling me is that I think the public is slowly but surely opening their minds to new cuisine, to new culture. And I think that's really all we really want, right?
Yeah. And that's how I got involved in the first place. So I moved to Cincinnati in 2007 for the company. And I had an assignment where, initially, I'm not from here either, but the diversity part was it was up and coming. It wasn't quite there yet.
It's growing.
To be honest, right? I had an assignment to move over to Singapore for 4 years and work there. And when I came back, it was like night and day. There was this thing called Over the Rhine. And there were a lot more places, a lot more, diversity going on. I was like, what's going on? And I just started talking to people. And that's when I sensed, okay, the timing is ripe to really open up and really spread that awareness even more to get on that momentum. So that's when I started talking to the guys that were running the Asian Food Fest and said, hey, what if we do this? What if we really go out instead of just an event? What if we now do it more like 365 all year long?
Yeah.
Have introduced the different restaurants, different events, different cultures that's going around. And they bought in and they welcomed me in. So since then, we've been really working together as a team.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. What a great, I love what you all are doing, of course. And then,
Thank you.
In the interest of making sure I don't eat up your entire day, let's talk about the things that we can eat on the table instead.
Okay.
And they come, and you know what? Why don't I start by opening this too? I'm very excited about this. What am I holding?
Okay. You are holding one of the custom-made mesh grocery bags that we designed for the night market.
Cool.
It's for Asianati. We're gonna kick it off and introduce
this is
the Asian night market.
Oh,
but this is we're into food. We started with food, bunch of foodies together. Right. So we said, what's a good way to connect it? So as you take it out, this mesh grocery bag.
Oh, this is awesome.
Is a thing it's a thing, right? And you can.
I love it.
I like going to farmers markets and places where you can just kind of carry things around. So we were talking with the team, what if we just do that? And people can just shop around.
This is so cool. And then look, I can put
you can put
my little toast in there.
Yeah, you can put your toast.
Oh my gosh. I promise, my first thought, this is what a weirdo I am. I was like, oh, perfect. I now have a costume.
I don't know how that.
I was like, it's crazy. These look like that would fit one of my legs at least. I promise I won't show
the mesh stretches, so don't worry, it'll be fine.
Everything will be safe. That is adorable and a great idea too. And I love that you can put it right back in the pouch itself.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So we're introducing a lot of those alongside. We have designs of our T-shirt.
Oh, cool! That you're wearing
t-shirt.
as well.
Yep, and we'll
hold that up. Look at that, everybody! I love the design.
It's a ramen in the
I
front.
love it. I'm full of soup.
Yep, and we'll have new designs that's coming out at the night market as well.
Cool. We got some fun treats here. I saw you have one of my favorites. The I forget how you pronounce the brand name. Correct. Okay. But the masala munch is one I tend to eat more often than I'd like to admit publicly.
Excellent. Yeah.
We did a bunch where we tried a bunch of the spicy ones. I think we tried the chili chaka for that spicy episode. These are all delicious and also conveniently available at junglejims after the night market. So get it there first.
Yeah, and really hats off to you guys for offering and being able to get such a variety of different snacks and places from all over the world.
That's cool.
And you guys been instrumental in terms of making sure that we get the right variety, the right choices. Everything that I asked, you guys had most of it.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
So,
yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping this is just the beginning of a fun partnership for us in the future. I have a lot of ideas. And
you do?
Oh, my gosh. Too many, actually. It's almost a frustrating amount of ideas.
Excellent.
Turn it off, Koji. I saw those. I saw we got some of the Pockies. Are those peelers there? Do I see those?
Have you heard of the peelers?
Yes. Have you yet?
Yeah.
I have thoughts, but they're fun.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've tried this.
I tried the grape ones.
Okay.
The grape ones were incredibly hard to peel because I don't think they thought of the shape of a grape and peeling it. But I was like, oh, it's a good grape gummy candy. I'm on board. But mango sounds way better.
Same with the mango. I couldn't peel it, so I had to ask my 13-year-old daughter to how do you do it? Okay, it's like this, and she peels it like how it looks.
It looks
right?
on there. Yeah, I love it.
Mine, I tear it up into like little pieces, and I'm like, there's nothing left that we can peel.
I kept trying to peel it, and I was just like, I'm just going to eat this. It's fine. The whole thing's edible. Great.
Yeah. So this was highly viral, and a lot of people talking about it. So we wanted to make sure that comes out.
That's
and,
cool.
Get the right buzz going.
Of course. Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah.
I saw that. We got the Pocky. You got to show off the onigiri plushies, I think.
This is one of my favorites.
And it's, I just noticed the bow tie, too. So it's like business onigiri.
Yeah, this is a business one. This is a mad one. Like, it's got its little fists up.
That's me when I don't have one.
Let me get at him. Yeah. So onigiri is a Japanese staple, which is a rice ball, and then the black thing is like it's wrapped up in seaweed and it's stuffed with whatever ingredient you want.
Cool.
Typically like sour plum, salmon, right? Anything.
Yeah, give me that ume, you know?
Yeah. So it's a thing now in Japan. It's making a huge comeback. So
cool.
There's onigiri shops all over.
That's cool.
And one of the vendors called Bentom, they're actually from New York City.
Oh, cool.
And they branched out and have a factory actually in Cincinnati.
Oh, no
and
kidding.
We've invited them to have a booth up.
Oh, cool.
And so they'll be doing onigiris with karage, which is the fried chicken, Japanese fried chicken together, which is,
that sounds
you
amazing.
can't beat it. Yeah.
And that's going to appeal to all of the people who might not try it otherwise. I mean, I don't mean that mean. I'm just sort of like, oh, cool, you put fried chicken in it. Perfect. Yeah. And karage is like better fried chicken. I'm sorry, the Colonel. I live in Kentucky. He'll come to my house. So I still have to apologize.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, wait, what are these? Are these face paint markers?
So
did we miss an opportunity to paint each other's faces?
I was going to say, that's why I brought it up. So last time we did it, we have free activities for everyone, right?
Yeah.
For the family and all. So we said, well, we want to do henna. Henna's an Indian tattoo thing that you can play around. Well, how do we make it like blink style, right? So we got these neon crayons, and with stencils and everything that we can, people can make the patterns, and we thought that it's going to be a nice thing.
Yeah.
Not many people may do it. It took off like wildfire.
That's cool.
And I ordered about 1,000 of those crayons. Everything gone within 2 days.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
I had to
amazing.
source it from the rest of the country to get it. This time we have enough.
Right.
But people just started drawing all over each other. It's like literally to each other.
Right.
Like on your faces and everything.
I love
and
it.
we have a black light set up.
Oh,
so
cool.
With the black light, you can see all those different patterns. So it was one of the biggest hits.
Oh, that sounds
So
amazing.
We'll bring back a lot of those kind of things. I don't know if I have. Did I not bring it? We also have these mask painting activities where it's just a free, paper mask, but you can have you can paint different patterns and colors around it and just wear it around the night market too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a little fun, and it's like a nice thing where I think a lot of people want to engage in kind of the cosplay aspect of things, but that's if you go all in, like I'm thinking about what I spent on that mask I was telling you about, and I was like, that was a stupid purchase, right? You know what I mean? But this is like a nice kind of low impact way where you still get to be kind of involved with it.
Yeah.
And even if not everything is UV reflective at the whole event, the colors are still going to pop on you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, light is cool for that very reason.
Yeah, and people will be like, what'd you do? Why
Exactly.
are you having all of that over your body? And
Right. Yeah, people ask me that all the time. I was like, it's just hair. But it's other people's hair. I'm so sorry to make this weird. I meant to ask about the plushies too. You all are selling these as well, right?
Yeah,
I just saw the little Shiba Inu here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cute.
So beyond the food vendors, and we also have local makers that may come up with their own crafts and things like that
sweet.
too. We also have our own merchandise booth, which we sell a lot of the plushies, our T-shirts, and also items from the local artists. So
Sweet.
One artist named Tom Tsuchiya, he just recently put a permanent statue, a sculpture up. He did the sculptures right around the Red Stadium with all those Pete Rose, like
diving into
he's the sculptor for that.
Oh, no kidding. That's amazing.
He's a Japanese American, and he just presented one on Court Street, and he made little figures, light up figures that are on sale. So we also do that. We have local cookbooks
Cool.
from the local people too. So we have a merch booth, and then another one called Snack Shack. And Snack Shack is where a lot of the snacks that we got from you guys and
Awesome.
you guys helped source to really help and not only sell but to educate, right? What's
Yeah.
out there, and it's really good. All of those snacks are good.
It's, I say this all the time in the show, but I feel really spoiled working here because I don't think I've eaten American snack food in 3 years now. I'm just like, I don't know if you know this, but everything outside of the U.S. is arguably better now. Well, I joke about things like the way we prepare food is different here and like the kind of the mass production version of it, whereas overseas, overseas, there seems to be still a lot of care and thought that goes into your food. I mean, just little things. Like I always tell the story about chocolate in particular, where America has the lowest amount of cocoa required in order for something to be considered chocolate.
Yeah.
And the next lowest is twice the amount.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's crazy, right? And I know that's going on in all of these things. So you can taste it in the snack food, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It sort of tastes, even like junk food tastes less bad for you.
Yeah. Now, what I think America or the U.S. is good is brand power.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So what we have is really turning that around. So like, let's say chocolate, Kit Kat, right?
Right.
But in Asia, they have all sorts of Kit Kat flavors. So we're bringing in 5 or 6 different Kit Kat flavors to taste out, like green tea, milk tea.
The milk tea ones are pretty good,
right. And so we'll bring that.
I got a good one the other day here that was it was like matcha and chocolate.
Oh yeah,
combined. I actually might still have, I'll check and see if I still have. I think they're over there. I'll give you one.
Okay,
that's
awesome.
I love the international Kit Kats too for that reason. Yeah. There was an orange chocolate one that shows up every so often, and it cracks me up because, like you said, American brand power so powerful. I'm surprised, but it feels like we don't take as many swings at.
I know. So let's take another one, right? Lay's.
Yeah.
Lay's chips.
Exactly. Oh,
so we were talking about it before the show, but we're bringing in like 10 different Lay's flavors, which is wild.
Yeah.
The special ones that you guys picked out are even wilder.
The Mexican tomato one, I forget.
From China.
Yeah, from China, exactly.
From China, Mexican.
There's one too
flavor.
that cracks me out over there. I don't know if this was in your selection, but it's like Italian meat sauce, I think they call it. And it's just like a picture of bolognese on it, but it's also from China too. And I was like, I have to try this,
Yeah, it's, what else did you guys pick up? Mustard octopus.
Oh, that sounds good.
Apparently it's really good.
I saw creamy lobster recently, and I was just like, okay, lobster I get. I was like, creamy, how's that going to translate to chip? So I'll come over and find out.
Yeah, lemon spicy hot pot. Like
that one's good. That's my favorite chip in the store.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. Oh, yes. It hits on all levels for me because I want something a little... I'm either eating plain chips or I'm eating that, right? Because it hits like a really unique note. You get like that black Szechuan peppercorn thing going on, so you do get a little of that numb. It's not... I think it's a bit of a misnomer. It's not very spicy to me at all.
Okay.
But I have a decent tolerance.
All right.
So
we should bring you on as our food critic. And
if you ever want to, I would love to do something with you like that for me. I'm a huge unabashed fan. Even if we weren't doing this interview, I'll say it in another episode. That way everyone knows I'm not lying.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, Koji, I'm so excited about this. I think it's going to be really, 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 really fun.
Really excited.
Yeah. Well, what else do you have coming down the pipeline? Anything in the works that we should plug here? Can I get a Jungle Gyms exclusive?
Outside of the Blink, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we throughout the year we have big programs and events. We do a lot of things around, but we usually have different meetups. Introducing local restaurants and local places, or just bringing groups together so that they can meet up. We do that throughout the year. After the New Year's, we usually have a restaurant week, which is focused really on the Asian week. So we call it the Asian Cuisine Week.
Okay.
So typically around 50 plus restaurants participate, and we just kind of showcase that.
And when did you say about that was?
That's in January.
January, okay,
yeah,
cool.
So middle of January.
Sweet.
And then followed by that, it comes around the Lunar New Year, like late January, early February is the timing. So we started a Lunar New Year celebration like region-wide last year, and it was great.
Awesome.
We did it at Norwood, the Factory 52. And
oh, yeah, great space.
We had over 1,000 people come, like lion dances and all of these things.
That sounds
and it's
so cool.
multicultural. It's not like China only.
Right, no, exactly.
Like Korea, Vietnam,
Absolutely.
all of those places celebrate too. So.
One of those things that I think that's also starting, because I feel like for the longest time, my whole life, I always heard it solely referred to as Chinese New Year. And then like in the last, it's fun. I did one of my first episodes here was all about that. And I was just like, and that was the big discovery, right? It was like, it's not just, it's like you said, it's multicultural,
Yeah. And then
we're learning.
And then one of the things I was most impressed with when I moved to Cincinnati was the cherry blossom trees at Alt Park.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. And what I found out was that those were, donated by Toyota back then. To be planted over 20 years, 25 years. So now it's really, coming to fruition. So we do a cherry blossom picnic party.
Cool.
Every year in April, and it's called Hanami, which is the Japanese word for like flower viewing.
Oh, okay.
Bring that with entertainment, taiko drummers and all of that stuff too.
I was just at some event with Compass recently at Union Terminal,
right.
and the Cincinnati Dayton taiko drummers were there, and I was just like, I didn't know we had those nearby. I was in Florida a few years back, and there was like a Japanese cultural center near where my grandmother lived. I was like, oh, this sounds cool. And the place was amazing. And then every day they were doing live taiko drumming performances. I was like, we need this. So now, that sounds awesome.
There's one in Cincinnati. There's a Dayton one too. So there's multiple now.
That's so cool.
It's really good to see.
Oh,
and then after that, you have the Asian Food
Festival. Cool.
Right? It kicks off the May, and then really like throughout the month of May, we do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's the nice, like I was saying earlier, it's like a nice kickoff to spring. It's like, all right, weather's turning, let's go. I need some noodles,
There you go. Yeah,
That's awesome. Well, Koji, congratulations on everything. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for taking the time to do this, too. I know it was a tight day, but I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Really
well, we'll see you at that Blink this week. It should be fun. Everyone, make sure you come out to the night market. There's going to be all kinds of fun stuff. Look at how cute all this stuff is. It's adorable. It's like looking into a mirror.
Yeah. And that dog has a cute little butt.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? I thought that's why you got it, but yeah.
I almost didn't notice. I was like, well,
that is the selling point.
That's the Jungle Gyms After Hours podcast.
Invite me then.
Yeah, I will. Look, you're welcome anytime. Well, coming up next on the show, folks, we've got we're doing Fry Bread Fuzz with Mike from Native Audio. Let's learn a little bit about Indigenous culture, shall we? All right, Tyler, you're back in the room here. What are we doing today? You pitched this whole thing, and I agreed.
Pitched it.
So why don't you pitch it to the audience? Much the same way you pitched it to me.
So the short end of it, Mark, is we've been talking a lot over the years about my love for all things.
About our short ends.
About our short end. We love local. We love supporting local.
Yep, genuinely.
Right a little bit after COVID, I got into local guitar pedals.
Okay.
Lance with Dogman introduced me to a guy up in Dayton, Native Audio. This is Mike. I brought him in. I've been geeking out over Native Audio pedals for a couple years now.
Yep, you've been posting a lot about it.
It's my obsession, and
I love Mike's genuine smile. We haven't even gotten to the intro.
We haven't even gotten.
I love it.
I'm loving the accolades.
It's great. And
I'm gonna put him in writing for you.
Who's this my guy?
Who is this? Put me on payroll, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been hyping up on that, and we did a pedal show in April. We got another one coming. We'll chat later about that. But,
cool. You should do one here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know where, but
we make
I
the
just
space
want
for
to.
it.
Yeah, why not? We can do it in my office, but I will donate the space.
Deal. But yeah, Mike, and when we talked, he's got a food-inspired pedal we're going to chat about, and as this is a food podcast.
Lucky will be so upset. He turned it to me. I'm like, I don't need this.
Whatever. Who cares? I figured it would be a great chance just to be like, let's talk cool pedals. And I love what Mike's been doing with his stories behind the pedals is what got me into it.
Yeah.
And so
when I saw Fry Bread Fuzz in the email, I was like, I'm interested.
It just makes sense, right? So that I said, hey, Mark, you let me make salsa. Let's talk about fry bread next. And so
I was kind of like, who is this?
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, this is Mike with Native Audio, and I'll let him.
Yeah, Mike, welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys, I really appreciate it. I've been to Jungle Gyms a couple times and never have been here for a podcast. So this is very sick.
Just trying to break boundaries, dude. Like,
dude, I love it. No, it's you guys got a great setup. And I was happy to bring some pedals in. I know Tyler. He is a longtime supporter, just great dude. So I really appreciate him. I know his out on the internet battlefields, always out there spreading the gospel of Native Audio.
I think I posted today on Reddit. Someone asked about blah blah blah, and I went, oh yeah, Native Audio. Okay, Mike is going to see this. I'll see you in a couple hours.
Dude, I really appreciate it. It's always so cool to have people out there just loving the brand, and when you have people like Tyler who just are sold to the brand and just overall like great person. I really appreciate it, man. So thank you, and Mark, I appreciate you having me here.
Dude, I'm happy that you came in. So thank you.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Let's tell. What's your life story, Mike? Like, how'd you get into doing this?
Oh my goodness. Where do we start? Okay, so Native Audio, just to kind of give your listeners a little backstory. Native Audio, we are a music electronics company, so we build effect pedals, and if you're people have ever been to a concert, whatever, they've probably seen somebody tap dancing up on stage, and typically that's them turning on a pedal, which takes in a music signal and then outputs something really kooky, really crazy, and and so I build those electronics. And I've been doing native audio for about 10 years now.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. It feels like it's flew by, but native audio originally started in my basement during my undergraduate. I actually have a master's in electrical engineering.
Oh, cool.
And but I've always just been a nerd. I've always, you can ask my wife, I watch too many YouTube videos of like how things work. And so I've always had this itch of figuring out how things work. And when it came to electronics, which is my background, to me, that's home, is electronics. But even more home to me is my culture. And so a little backstory on where I came from is I was born in Montana on the Blackfeet Nation. The Blackfeet Nation is kind of it's near the Rocky Mountains, like was that northwest Montana. Grew up there, beautiful area, but it wasn't until later on, once I grew up and I moved off the reservation, I kind of realized that like I was growing up in a entirely different community, entirely different world. And when I finally moved off the nation, off the reservation, like just people did things differently, and like, you know, life was just, history was different, things were completely different. And it was just interesting. And you know, and it's like, it's whatever. I was then, by the time I was in high school and then college, and I'm so busy with trying to hang out with friends, trying to do this, that I didn't necessarily like, you know, feel like I still like was going back every single summer to visit family. You know, Christmases, we'd go back for family. But it wasn't until I started kind of getting a little bit like older, and you know, like all the friend stuff kind of chilled out a little bit, and then now I'm starting to get more of this reflective age and trying to figure out like, you know, what was the past and where I'm going as far as future. And it was probably about 2018. I was coming home from Montana, and I just had an experience that was like, man, we definitely do got something special here. And I actually looked down at my products at the time and realized all my products started kind of taking the shape of my native culture. And I was like, man, I think I should probably kind of continue going down this route. And so we ended up changing the name from Red House Electronics to Native Audio. And really, what Native Audio is kind of an intersection of all my passions and interests, which are music, electronics, and culture. And really, the biggest thing that we do at Native Audio is share culture through sound. And it's just a real cool way to not only like, I guess, dive into my culture and just continue to learn about my ancestors and my heritage, but also a really cool way to bring that out into the world. I always make this joke about like, you know, the older that I got, like, I'm not super old either, but it's just, you get to this age and like, you know, now I have a daughter, now I have a family, now I'm thinking about how like I can continue to share the legacy of like my ancestors with, you know, my kids. And like, you just start getting really into these like weird, like not even weird, but just very reflective things. And like how my daughter's going to see the future with her heritage. And so like, it's that kind of stuff that you just start kind of like feeling this like, man, I really want to get back into where I came from and who I am. And Native Audio is that perfect, for me, that perfect realm to be able to kind of re-engage with my culture. And it's been such a cool thing. I've learned so much. And so I've been able to do that, but also like, because of that thing of like wanting to continue my culture, like, you know, I've thought, oh, maybe I should go back to school and maybe I should learn, like American Indian studies and all this other crap like that. And but that's just not me. I'm an engineer. I'm also a musician.
Right.
And native audio has been a perfect realm to be able to not like throw a textbook at somebody and say, hey, this is native culture. Get this in your head.
Right.
But rather, it's like it's been a very like welcoming experience to be like, hey, you like music?
Yeah.
I like music too. Check out this sick pedal that sounds really cool. And by the way, here's a really cool story that I feel kind of goes with the pedal and also opens the door to kind of our culture, the Blackfeet Nation. So it's just a really cool way to like just integrate all these weird, cool aspects that I appreciate. And it's crazy that, I get paid to do this.
Well, it's cool. It's actually kind of funny because Tyler and I were actually sort of talking about like the manner of educating people before you got here.
Yeah.
And not directly tied to this by any means, but it is fun to hear you say that because something that we kind of touched on was that like sitting in a classroom being bombarded with information for 8+ hours a day is probably not working great for everybody anyway. There's so many ways to take in these experiences and try it. I mean, I won't ignore the fry bread on the table. I mean, that's a big thing here, right? Like for us in the jungle, where it's like we learn so many different things about culture and fun stuff. I'm just waving at John. We love John.
Yay, John.
No, he's awesome. He can't hear us talking about him.
But we are.
No, but I thought that's like a fun way to dive into different aspects of this. So something I was going to try to bring that back around to was, what is, like, have you learned or run into any, like, story or something like that you've been really excited to share with people through your art that maybe I haven't picked up just from, reading through on your site?
I don't know. There's, it's funny because like every single product that we come out with, it feels like that product is, I don't know. I guess like every product that we come out with, every story that we come out with, like it's been the best so far.
I love that.
And so it's like, I think it's a really cool way for a company to be like, not just pushing out stuff just to push out stuff, but pushing out stuff to be proud of. Yeah. And the same thing with our stories. And the most recent pedal that we dropped was the Fry Bread Fuzz, and that's kind of how we ended up getting connected here. And so I think the Fry Bread Fuzz is probably one of my favorite stories so far that we've shared, because it's not necessarily like a textbook classic history, but it kind of is. But then also at the same time, it's kind of an experience. So rather than just sharing the story with somebody, they can also kind of experience it with us. And we can dive into this, the recipe in the back, all this other junk.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Too. I think that's such a great
idea. So, I don't want to jump ahead, but for example, Fry Bread Fuzz, it's at the face of it, it looks like a fuzz pedal, and also it sounds like a fuzz pedal. It's a fun, sick pedal, but on the back of it, we actually have Pretty Bird Woman's fry bread recipe, and Pretty Bird Woman is actually my grandma's birth name that she was given from my ancestor, and her name is Pretty Bird Woman. But it's real cool because I literally sat down with her, and when we had the idea of Fry Bread Fuzz, Micah, who also works with me at Native Audio, we have these coffee chats in the morning right before we start doing work, and we just start kind of spitballing ideas. And he actually was the one that brought up the idea of like, dude, you should do like a thing called like Fry Bread Fuzz, because I think that morning I did exactly right here. I had a Ziploc bag. I literally had a Ziploc bag full of fry bread like we do here in the studio right now, and was like, I was like, dude, you got to try this. And so he was trying fry bread, and he's munching on it, and then he was like, we should do Fry Bread Fuzz. That would be sick. And so we kind of just went forward with the idea, and like there's all kinds of different things I can get into regarding like the design and everything. But the main thing was, or the cool thing was, that later on during development, he had that like idea of like, what if we put the fry bread recipe on the back? And I was like, dude, that would be sick. So I called out Pretty Bird Woman. I was like, hey, Graham, like, can you give me your recipe? And of course, my grandma, she's approaching 80 here soon. So like, at that age, you just don't have recipes. I mean, she does. If she digs in a cabinet somewhere, they're probably scratched down on a Post-it note somewhere. But she's just like, I mean, you take a handful of this, you take this.
Right.
And I was like, and so then I had to work with her to like actually figure out measurements and everything. So you'll see measurements on here, but really it should be like parentheses about
whatever feels right.
Whatever feels right.
And we all have that secret knowledge now.
No, exactly. So so that was one of the coolest things for a company, was to be able to do like my grandma's recipe on the back. Because,
that's awesome.
Yeah, because like I'm, you talked about like school and being in school for 8 hours, and like it was funny because I've literally, I went all the way up to doing masters in electrical engineering, but at one point in high school, my math teacher, she sat me down and she was like, Mike, I don't think math's your thing. And she literally said, I don't think math's your thing, that like, if you want, you can just, kind of pointing me to the other class, and was like, you can go that way if you want. And I'm so hard-headed, and I think that's the kind of thing of like, is that like I just kept on trucking with it.
It is my thing now.
Yeah, it is my thing. And that's the thing. Is like, and that's the thing is like, I think being able to, and I tell that story because I think being able to relate to somebody, like approach somebody like in a way that's like not overbearing. Sure. And that was the same thing with math. Is nobody taught me math in a way that like was appetizing. Like it just wasn't like, had I known that could translate to building pedals, I would have been totally in. Yeah, but I didn't learn that till later. And the same thing comes with like sharing native culture with other people. Is like, even me myself, like if somebody like tries to like throw it in my face and try to like point and like, it just kind of very off-putting. And that is 100% the way I don't want to operate native audio. And the way we operate native audio is we like do a kind of an approach that is like, hey, really when it boils down, terminology, everything like that, like we're all the same. Like and the way we celebrate culture might be slightly different, but really when it boils down, the love that I have for my mom is the same love you have for your mom. Like, it just boils down, we're down different people, but it's just a different culture that we were all growing up in. And that's really how we try to approach native audio, is like not necessarily try to throw it down somebody's throat, but just say, hey, guys, check this out.
Well, we have chatted because we have connections and with other people, and I've the whitest of white men stumbled on.
Which is crazy that 23andMe actually gave you that award.
It's ridiculous. I have it up on my mantle, which is another white person thing to say.
Oh, of course.
But
that is a white culture thing. I have never heard anybody not outside of a mantle.
The way I stumbled on native audio personally was, like I said, my buddy Lance, who was also at the time, like Reverb was doing this video on him being one of the only like black operated pedal builders, and he just wanted some demo work, and I'm like, I love your pedals, I need to get into Ohio stuff. He's like, check out native audio. And I remember messaging on Instagram, and I'm like, hey, whatever, your pedals, the design work was just, the branding was on point. And I was like, where should I buy? And you sent me to Willis Music, because that was the only local spot at the time. And I ended up falling in love with Ghost Ridge and Wilderness Delay for my acoustic board. And then Ghost Ridge, like, what's Ghost Ridge? Well, you tell the story of the Buffalo and that area, and I'm like, well, that's fascinating.
Wait, can you tell some more of that story?
Well, I'll let him. It's his pedal. Yeah, please.
Yeah, just really quick. Ghost Ridge is actually the name of a burial site. And it was actually a time, like kind of a dark time in Blackfeet history. So a dark time known as like the last hunt. So this was the last winter that we basically were able to like kind of fend for ourselves as a nation. And the following year, we had to declare dependency upon the government. And during that winter, though, we didn't have food and we didn't have shelter. The buffalo was basically near extinction, and that's what we used for shelter, food, everything, tools. And what ended up happening is we ended up losing a quarter of our tribe, and they were unfortunately buried at the burial site Ghost Ridge. And the design of Ghost Ridge, though, has a buffalo jump, the one buffalo, and there's a couple X's in the grave, which signify the death. Sure. But reflective of that is the stars in the sky. And the stars of the sky kind of represent the future of our people. Though this happened, we have a bright future.
Yeah.
And that's really the approach with Native Audio is like, yeah, that history happened, but where are we going to take this now? And that's kind of what we're doing with Native Audio.
Well, it engaged me because, we've said current modern race relations make some of these conversations hard because, on the one side, as a not minority in any way, I want to ask questions,
right.
But I also don't I wasn't the bad guy. Sure, I may
absolutely
come from some of that. I don't know all of my ancestors that way, but it was a way to
But we do.
we do.
Results.
Man.
This is the last appearance on the show time.
Cancel. But I was so intrigued because you told it in such a hopeful way. The story wasn't evil versus good. It was, this was a thing that happened. And obviously the pedal's phenomenal. It's my favorite reverb pedal. I own 2 of them now. I'm going to own a 3rd one soon. But then that led me to Pretty Bird Woman, which is your chorus pedal, which tells the story of her grandmother, which then led me, the Twin Medicine is just a fascinating. I ended up buying my dad Rising Sun because he's very much trying to reclaim the importance of nature and his faith, and he's actually reading some indigenous Christian thought leaders that are trying to rectify. It's just this amazing, and I'm like, the pedals are great, but there's a lot of great pedals. What makes this, why have I connected so strongly is, you're right, I love my family, I love my history, and I love learning about other history in a way. So that leads me to the question, you mentioned Micah eating fry bread, going, we should have fry bread fuzz. Some of the ideas, do you have this story you want to tell and pick an effect that tells the story, or do you, I made a chorus pedal, what do I call it, after my grandmother?
Yeah, it kind of flips. There's really no secret recipe to how we come up with these.
It on
I
the
was just
pedal.
going to say,
It's not secret
there's
at all.
no secret recipe at all. No,
it's just behind a paywall.
Honestly, a lot of times, we got this question about Kiayo, because Kiayo is our overdrive, and it was did you try to emulate the sound of a roaring bear? And I was like, no, not really. We just
I would have lied about that.
Absolutely.
Of course. I can't believe you.
Which is why the Valentine's variant came out, because they.
Yes, exactly. No, honestly, a lot of these things are something that I'm either reading in because I told you, I'm diving back into Blackfeet culture,
right?
And I come across something that I'm like, man, that's really cool. I should share that. Or it might be something that I just kind of want to get out into the world, like Fry Bread,
right?
And the concept of what the heck Fry Bread Fuzz is, and so it's either it flips, it's some stuff's after, some stuff's before, as far as the name, the image.
Sure.
Just to give you an example of the war pony here. Mm-hmm. So the war pony, originally the design of the war pony, you can kind of see it. Yeah, of course. You can kind of see the war pony kind of looks it's kind of got this 70s type of print on it.
Yeah, for sure. It's this. If this wasn't a pedal, it could be. I was just gonna say it's gonna be on the sports car.
And my grandpa Edwin Running Wolf, which is he was actually the inspiration behind our pedal, the Running Wolf. He's a big car guy. He loves collecting classic cars.
Yeah.
And he had a buddy, which he ended up buying that car from him, but it was an 84 Mustang.
Yeah.
And on the back of the 84 Mustang, it literally said War Pony.
I love that.
Which is cool. But the whole idea of why he even had War Pony was that the horse in Blackfeet culture is a very significant animal to the warrior, and And just as important as the weapon was to a warrior, so was his horse.
Sure.
And that's kind of the story that we tell through War Pony. So, that's kind of like blending kind of like a contemporary, like 84 Mustang type of thing.
Well, you mentioned that being like an unapologetic, like we just wanted to get nasty with this. And nothing's more unapologetic than an 84 Mustang.
Yeah, more unapologetic. Like literally no boundaries, nothing.
Let's make it just loud and noisy.
Yeah, and that's exactly. And
did you mean to emulate a 1984 Mustang on the
when it hits 8K RPM?
Yes, I know.
It is a drive pedal though, right? That
yeah,
one?
so
Okay.
this is overdrive distortion. It literally, to Tyler's point, is like when you're designing like a lot of pedals, you kind of put some boundaries in place to be able to kind of make it do that specific thing. Well, with War Pony, we removed all of those, and we were just like, let's just go 0 to 60 with this thing.
Let it rip.
No pun intended, but like that's exactly what we did with War Pony. And so that's one of those things of like we kind of had a sound, and then like I started kind of like trying to figure out where I wanted to go with this, and for some reason like that experience of hanging out with my grandpa and the War Pony being parked there, like just I had that thought. So I was like, you know what, let's try to like kind of go in that direction. And the first run of these was gray, and then the second we did this ledger artwork by Jesse DeRozier.
Cool. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, this is a Blackfeet artist, and he actually did they call it ledger artwork, and what they do is they take ledger paper, from the and this one's actually from the late 1800s.
Sweet.
And he was able to score that, did artwork, and then we did a collaboration where we teamed up with him, and we were able to donate like $2,200 to the Pagan Institute, which is which is a school that specializes in teaching children general education, but they actually do it with a foundation in Blackfeet language. So it's a really cool way to kind of give back to the community, but also like team up with current Native artists. And so really like a lot of these pedals, we kind of either have the sound in mind, and then comes the like story, or either story and then we try to fit that around. And I think Fry Bread Fuzz was one of those things we had an idea of like what the Fry Bread Fuzz was going to be, but then it's like trying to get the sound there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then like trying to create the sound is even like a whole thing in itself too, because you kind of have an idea of where like your boat's like floating, but you kind of might go off course somewhere else and then come back. And
happy little accident.
Yeah, happy little accident.
Yeah, what's that process like? I mean, because I have like a very mild understanding of what's going on inside the boxes. I'm just like, great, now it works.
Yeah.
Like, what is that like for you? And maybe explain it like the audience is 5.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same way I'll explain it to myself. I try to tell myself that every single time. Yeah. Really the process, typically like a pedal will take anywhere depending like 6 to 9 months of development. And really what it comes down to, because I'm the engineer and the owner and the shipping guy and the bookkeeper guy, and
and the guy who answers all the Reddit comments,
and the guy who answers all the Reddit comments and also messages on Instagram. I wear multiple hats, but like whatever like my workload can support, that's usually how long it takes to come out with these pedals. So I've spent a couple late nights to try to get something done like a little bit faster. But typically 6 to 9 months is kind of the time frame for these pedals. And really where it kind of comes in, I guess just the background in electrical engineering comes in hand, is that like I kind of have a sound in my head,
right? And
also collaborate that with the guy who works with me, Micah Kemplin. We kind of collaborate together because we always joke around is like his tonally, his sound is like on the other spectrum of where I prefer things, but collectively I think we cover like a ton of ground, which is really cool. So that's where typically a lot of these like the design in these is, okay, what's the sound? And then what do I need to know from an engineering standpoint of like how to get there? And then we just kind of start diving in. And that's really where it goes. And so, for example, Fry Bread Fuzz, we started development on that in man, I want to say like, I think I had some stuff, like some notes in May of last year. And we actually had a prototype done in August, but ended up not even using that prototype. We ended up... Fry Bread Fuzz originally it was going to be like this 5-knob like beast, and 5-knob, 2 switches, and like it was going to be pretty hefty. But then like we took those controls, and when we describe Fry Bread Fuzz, we say that each of these controls control multiple parameters, and it legit does control multiple parameters. And so finally we had like a working prototype in maybe August or something like that, and the Fry Bread Fuzz was one of those things of like, okay, fuzz does this thing. We know what fuzz sounds like.
Right.
We don't want that sound. Because, like, to be honest, like, and this is, talking to Tyler right before the podcast is like, you mentioned I have an idea of like fuzz. I get it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where we were at. And like, I don't know how many fuzzes you plugged into, Tyler, and you were like, dude, this stinks. Or either like you play it, but you can only have it. We call it one trick pony.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can only have it in one setting.
Sure.
And we didn't want that. We want a lot of flexibility. And so how can we deliver that flexibility? It took a lot of revisions and a lot of tweaking and a lot of playing.
Well, that was what was fascinating for me is like, I pay attention to pedal stuff because it's fascinating to me. And a lot of like new or quote unquote boutique builders, they start with fuzzes because that really is like the simplest circuit.
Right.
In paper. Like the Big Muff was like the first mass-produced pedal, which I do have a version 1 of those.
I feel like everybody...
It's fun.
Yeah, everybody has a big...
But like, you either are like a fuzz maniac, or you're like, I don't want it at all. There's really not a lot of in
want
between.
it completely clean.
And it's like, I always joke, I play a fuzz pedal, there's one riff I play, which is that black key, I got mine, it's just like, I just do that like little, it comes out because you have to. And that pedal, so it was so wild to me that like your lineup was so diverse, and then you came to a fuzz, and instead of like, okay, fine, here's a fuzz pedal, it's like, no, this is a fuzz pedal for people
we're
who
still bringing that
you
same
don't like fuzz,
enthusiasm.
but try this one first. Especially the germanium one was a fascinating little variant as well.
Before we dive too deep in this, and just in case anybody is listening, is like, oh, I'd love to know what that sounds like. Do you have like samples on your site or anything? Like,
Yeah, they can actually
hear?
head to nativeaudio.com or just Native Audio on YouTube.
Okay.
And we actually have a channel that if they pull up our Native Audio channel on YouTube, we actually have a playlist of just all of like, I mean, we have 10 plus, I don't even know how many demos of Fry Bread Fuzz in different sort of setups, bass, guitar, keys, whatever.
Yeah, I love it. I'll link to it in here as well. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, but I was just saying, like, it's incredible because, like, again, I have a sound that I want, and now I was just saying I'm now branching out to this doesn't go on my main board, but this goes on my fun board kind of stuff, and it's great to have pedals. I think a lot of people that I've chatted with about Native Audio or any of the pedals that I have, it's like I've played a bunch of pedals. I own a lot of pedals. I've gotten rid of more pedals than I own, and what do I end up keeping are the ones that are just like, this makes me want to keep my hands on my guitar. Right. And that's like we've chatted about. Your ethos is you don't want like mad scientists necessarily. You want people that want to play their instrument. And I feel like all of your pedals bring the best out of my guitar, not what it sounds like the pedal. No, it sounds like me. It sounds like what I want it to sound like, which is a hard thing for a fuzz, I think, in particular.
Oh, absolutely.
To reach.
And that's one of the coolest things about Native Audio is that like I've had the experience of being able to play multiple pedals, multiple different types of sounds, even before I got into the pedal game. And now that I have the experience and the knowledge to be able to design these, I can kind of trim the fat on like what I like, what I don't like, and really kind of shape these into a really cool pedal. And one of the coolest things with Native Audio, or maybe not coolest things, but like I guess one of the challenges that I presented to myself back in, I would say it was maybe like 2015 or something like that, was like, yes, everybody that was boutique were releasing overdrives, releasing fuzzes, everything like that.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? Let's discontinue all of the dirt pedals in our line, and let's focus solely on modulation. Cool. And that out of that, you had stuff like the Midnight You had stuff like the Ghost Ridge.
Right.
You had stuff like Pretty Bird Woman. Those were things presented out of this kind of internal like blocking of myself to like not make an overdrive. Like as much as I wanted to.
Well, they are fun.
Yeah, they're stupid fun. And as much as I wanted to, I was like, no, Michael, you know, I kind of like the challenge of trying to create something that like Midnight. I mean, was just a really cool. Midnight is our phaser pedal, and it just does like a ton of fun stuff. But it's presented in a real cool way that is very practical. Like, had you not known what Midnight Done like would do, like 2 minutes in, you could play a whole set with it. And that's one of the coolest things about being able to like present these pedals in a way that like allows the musician to just get it like that.
Yeah.
And so I presented myself with that challenge, and then it wasn't until 2021 we finally came out with our overdrive, the Kiao, which is the Blackfeet translation for bear. And and so I don't know. I like the challenge. The pedal world is such a saturated market. There's so many pedals, so many boutique people, and you know, it's like there's tons of other industries where like you're the only, you know, the company's like kind of the monopoly of that industry.
Right.
In the pedal world, it's not necessarily that. There's just so many different options, and I kind of like
amazing options.
Yeah,
it's
an
not
amazing
like
option.
two good ones and then a bunch
exactly.
They're amazing.
And that's what I think was really cool about the pedal company, like the pedal industry itself, is that it's very challenging, and but in a good way, because like had there just been two companies like making pedals, like we would just, you know, be stuck with these garbage tone machines.
Right.
Oh, right. I
but-
love them. Garbage tone machines.
Yeah, garbage tone machines.
They're coming to town.
Yeah, that's the name of our new pedal here. No, but like,
I buy that.
Yeah, that one. You also mentioned One Trick Pony. I feel like that should be another
Garbage
one. That's
tone.
just
one trick pony.
What does
yeah.
that sound like? It's a garbage tone machine. Huh?
Yeah, you
it's-
hit it. You're like, that's not wrong.
Yeah, and that's I love the competition though. I think it's really cool. I think it's healthy to an extent, and also like I think it's really cool to have that in place, just because it makes people do better.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that's one of the
Well, not probably
those
also
things.
just pushing you too as a creator as well. To be
Absolutely.
Like, okay, how do
Well,
we
and the
push boundaries?
knockoff,
Yep.
like the Chinese clone companies that pop
Right.
up on Amazon,
How
are.
do we feel about those genuine?
I love them. I think.
I was
as-
worried you were not going to say that.
No,
but
I
was
love
like,
them
feel like I
because,
would.
Yeah.
well, like I had, you know, where I work, I'm the guy that doesn't shut up about music, and
Yeah. Right.
you know, hey, my son's getting into guitar pedals. Like, you like pedals? What would you recommend? I'm like, okay, first of all, my chorus pedal costs $240. Like, don't go
Yeah.
where I went, but
Yeah,
like, go literally. Like, I gave him like a list of all these, you know, Moore, Behringer, like these
Yeah,
cheap
reputable,
pedals
Classic though.
that sound good and like
Absolutely.
have fun. Buy everything because it's cheap, and when you find out what you like, then dive into some different effects.
Right.
Maybe you want a better build quality, maybe you want something very niche,
Yeah.
very specific.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, the same way I feel about a lot of the AI technology, like we've removed as many barriers as possible to have fun and make music,
Yep.
which I think is part of your story, you know, sharing
Absolutely.
your tribes. Like,
Yeah.
let's remove barriers.
Yeah.
And then when you do like that, I mean, yes, I'm okay with spending $240 when I could get a pretty good similar effect for $50.
I always view it like going to the beach, right? You can
Yeah.
put your toes at the edge of the sand, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. The water's here. I can feel it. I'm
Yeah.
aware of it. But you can also go incredibly deep if you get really invested
Well,
in it.
you
right?
don't want
That's-
someone's
that's
first hamburger
legit.
to be this like brioche
No.
alfalfa. No, you want like go to McDonald's. Oh, what do you think? It works, right? It's a hamburger.
Right,
It's
like,
good.
yeah,
Okay.
Smash it down and get the little.
Now
get
let's
that
go from
IRB
there.
action.
And so, yeah, I think I love it. And I think what makes Native Audio and some of these other Ohio builders particularly amazing
Yeah.
is that they're making very specific versions of effects that I've spent a decade plus
Like chasing.
chasing. And then I finally get to be like, yeah, that's the thing that I wanted that I didn't get from the cheap
Right.
one.
Yep.
And sometimes it's not even the sound. It's just, you know, your presets, the multiple parameters, all that other stuff that I like that a newbie, like, don't waste time with that.
Absolutely.
I was going to
And
ask your guys' feelings with that, with like the nature of like all the amp modelers. I realize the only amp I have in here is a little positive grid,
Yeah.
Spark,
We love amp
which is
modelers.
it's literally just a cheap amp modeler with
Yeah.
the.
I brought my
I heard
simplifier to the last pedal meetup, and like half the guys were like, Okay, that's what we need to get for the next time we need a headphone. Because
By the way, I love that amp. It's like one
It's
of my
great.
favorite things. It's 40
I've heard really
watts.
good things about it. I haven't played one yet.
Oh, dude!
yeah.
And like honestly,
You love it?
I bought it kind of in a lark because I just needed something small for in here. 'Cause
Oh, yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, nothing
And
big.
I haven't really been gigging much in the last couple of years, so I was like, okay, it's not a big deal. And then, I hate how much I love it.
it's inexpensive.
Yeah,
it's quiet.
It's
but
quiet, but also can rip
Sounds
pretty
so
loud.
great,
Right?
it's
It's
great.
like it's like
Dude.
loud enough that I could mic it if I really need to. It's got an out. But at the same time, I've always been kind of a pedal purist in regards to like I was just looking for very specific things. So I've always been a little hesitant on the amp modelers. But then I guess
they're blowing up
Yeah.
now.
yeah, they really are. But at the same time, I don't know. I go back and forth. There's that purist in me that's like I want to just run a chain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I
Yeah.
have a deluxe 1968 Silverface reverb, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
loud. I also have a 5-year-old who's trying to sleep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, if I want to
You gotta
rip,
learn to rock real
I got a
fast.
headphone amp
Yeah.
that sounds pretty close to the same amp, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can just play with headphones, and it sounds quieter version of the same
Yeah,
thing.
This is
No,
my
exactly,
first time in my
exactly.
career I've been able to afford amps, and now I'm like, oh, now I don't need them.
Now you don't need
You know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I guess I've just
sounds
analyzed
good,
it
do it.
like 5
I get
watts,
it,
you know?
and I think my personality is like such a personality that like somebody tells me that this is how things got to be. I just like internally I gotta oppose that. Like
Same.
even if somebody goes like, yeah, that like a digital pedal could never sound that way.
Yeah.
I would literally try to make that digital
Challenge
pedal.
accepted.
Yeah, challenge accepted. That's just my personality. Like I told you the whole math thing like that,
Yeah.
and like them telling me math had to be this way. But
Oh, my entire
I-
career is spite powered.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's literally like spite and like
Spy, but also I love my grandma. Here's her recipe.
Yeah.
no, exactly. And
I love my grandma too. I just haven't figured out a
Screw
way to
the
make her into
man,
the
but,
podcast. I just have a mouth like hers.
well, and I just think I think it's very limiting when you put your headspace in like that type of mindset.
For sure.
And with the pedal thing, I might be one of few that like do support. I don't say support, but like at least like I don't freak out when I see like a cheap Amazon pedal, like
Right.
because I know what I have here, and I think I'm just like I think people that are more aware of like what they have and what they're putting out into the world, I think aren't going to be disturbed by those little subtle things like
we
that.
still need the gateway drugs. We
Yeah,
still need
it still need to get.
I got my son his first guitar pedal now, and then it's like, okay, great. Now, Mom, I need to spend all my
Now,
income.
exactly. Now
But
buying those $300.
it's and it literally depends on who the person is, because like my bath soap, I have this bath soap person that I came across in Nashville, and like I literally get on the website, and it's just a small little like soap company,
we love
and
it.
that's who I get my soap from. Now my toothpaste, it's just Great Value brand
Yeah.
toothpaste or something like that. But that's the thing, is like depending on where your focus is at that time, like you want to put your money. And so like with pedals, like some people might not necessarily like be in the pedal game. That's fine. Like, and they can go do the Amazon thing, whatever. That's cool. I'm not going to freak out. And, to Tyler's point, it also is a really cool way to introduce them to this world in a like cost effective manner.
Yeah.
That way, maybe down the road, they do want to like take that next step, and they can. So I'm definitely not a, like, they gotta, when they do a pedal, they gotta buy that pedal.
Right.
I think it's a really cool way, like you're doing, Tyler, is to introduce them and then get them with that gateway drug.
Yeah,
but I really do think it's just subjective, like to whoever the person, where they're at in their life and if they can afford it.
I mean, Prince used Boss pedals, and he's like the guitar
Yeah.
god. And
Yeah.
like, he wasn't using the Ultra Boutique. He's like,
No,
No, he's like off the shelf.
just
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
he wants.
Because tones in the fingers.
Tones in the fingers.
tones to the fingers. Yeah.
I mean,
You want to dive into this bread?
Speaking of
It's
yeah,
been
it's like, that's
dude,
weird. My tone feels like fry bread.
Yeah, I didn't know if we eat bread on the podcast.
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
definitely
did.
should. Yeah,
Do
yeah,
it?
absolutely. I feel like that's how we
Okay.
should wrap that. That's our third
Yeah.
act.
Yeah, let's.
Well, while we're
Please,
prepping it,
dig in.
can I plug the pedal show?
Yes, you should plug the
That
pedal
was
show, and then
while
that
we
way
can
go.
prep that out.
Here, I'll start setting.
If you've
setting
listened
plates.
this far through the ramblings of a bunch of gear nerds,
You are, sir.
Heck yeah.
November 3rd at Fretboard Brewing, 1 to 5 p.m. It's a Sunday. We're going to host an Ohio Builders meetup.
Ohio Builders is a pedal builders thing, right?
Yeah, well, mostly, but we have amps and guitars as well.
Okay.
We did one in April. Really, it was a response. Thimble Wasp. I want to shout out Thimble Wasp Effects out of Columbus. They did a lot of work to put one up in Columbus, and I couldn't meet there. And so I reached out to him and I was like, or them, it's 2 guys. And I was like, hey, you want to do that in Cincinnati? And like, we thought about it, but like, we don't know any location. And I was like, I do. And so we did one in April, which was super fun.
Yeah.
And we're bringing them back. So we're going to have several pedal builders all from Ohio, a couple locals, Dayton, Columbus. Yeah. We have KSR amps.
Cool.
Right here in Cincy. And
That's
then
sick.
Super sick, yeah.
a couple guitar builders that all work with Justin Kennedy.
I was going to say it's Justin.
But yeah, Bridger is there for sure. It's some of the other guys that work out of his shop as well, Grog.
Sick.
And
Yeah,
so
Justin.
It's great because we have, the pedal room is in the main room and everyone's got headphone amps. So like, bring in your guitar, try the pedals on your guitar.
On your rig, yeah.
Bring in your guitar. Yeah.
Seriously, bring it in. I
Absolutely.
mean, what sounds good on, even if it's the same, it's your guitar.
Yeah.
And so you get to try out these pedals. They'll have them to sell. Some of the guys are doing really weird stuff. Some of the guys are doing, like Purple Cat Audio's guy local, and he got into the game because, like, I call it the JHS syndrome. Like, JHS Pedals will do a show at a YouTube channel where, like, hey, here's this stupid pedal nobody liked, made in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then they start going for, like, $300 on reverb. And he was like, I can make that pedal and sell it to you for $50. How about that?
You're like, I love that.
And so, yeah, like, that was the
A
thing.
Chinese clone in America? Let's
Absolutely.
go.
Well, and what's great about it, he's got some cool pedal designs of himself, but like
Yeah.
a lot of people want a good blues breaker pedal.
Yeah.
And so
With that blues break in the bank.
hells yeah, baby. That's why they pay Mark the big bucks. But yeah, so November 3rd at Fretboard Brewing, the Blue Ash location, 1 to 5. You can come and play War Pony, Fry Bread Fuzz, all the other stuff.
And I will say, just as a manufacturer
That's intense, by the way.
or a pedal builder, I personally, like, we've done multiple events. We used to do, like, the guitar, like, thank you. We used to do, like, the local, like, guitar shows and everything like that. But, man, nothing is better than just, like, literally sitting around with other pedal nerds and that, like, get it.
Yeah.
Like
It's like in a way that you wouldn't get at the music store normally.
No,
It's
exactly.
Like,
It's the difference between like going to a movie with like, or like sitting down and watching a movie with like your buddies who don't care about movies, and then the other, which is me, but then
Right.
like sitting with somebody that like gets movies, and it's just a whole different experience when you can get around with other pedal heads.
Right.
And as a manufacturer,
actor once.
yeah,
I'm that guy.
No, exactly. And as a pedal manufacturer, it's these pedal pop-ups are a real cool experience just to connect with the people, but then also just nerd out about pedals.
Okay, the fry bread and the pumpkin butter goes crazy.
Oh,
The
that's
pumpkin butter is
exactly.
Well, here's what I brought to the table today. So today I brought, because
Heck yeah.
before this, the instructions were maybe get some butter, maybe get some jelly. So we had some great jelly in here, which that was Mike approved. So I was going to give him something fancy.
Dang.
But this one we tried first was the smoked butter. This is a product of Japan. It's from Marin Food. This is over at the Butter Bar. This will be available at both Jungle Gyms
Dude, I love
locations.
this smoked butter. This is incredible.
I think this might be the wrong delivery device. for
I
it.
agree.
But it goes
Like
so
a
hard.
sourdough toast would hit hard.
I just want
The
to
fry bread.
cook a steak in it.
The fry bread craves a little bit of sweetness, which that pumpkin butter.
The pumpkin butter goes crazy, so now I'll go next on the lineup. Since I'm sure Smuckers, they're not calling me back. You like pumpkin butter?
I think I'm gonna buy some of this right
It
before
goes
I
so
leave.
hard, yeah,
right
it's
before I
great.
leave. Hey, literally, this is freaking
It
delicious.
tastes like spreadable pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
And it goes
Yeah.
crazy on the fry bread. Yeah, that's my favorite of the lineup.
Yeah.
Although, again, I'm with
That
you.
smoked
Tyler.
butter's
Smoked
amazing,
butter's
but
delicious.
Steak.
Yeah, like on some sort of meat. or-
Fried up with a...
Dude, honestly, I want to like get some mushrooms and saute them in that. I think that would
That
be
or
unbelievable.
In the smoked butter?
Yeah, I think
yeah, absolutely.
tri-tip
Smoked butter's
Wagyu
Oh,
that
yeah, okay.
you
I get at the
forced
butcher
me
shop.
into buying last time I was on the show.
it worked out good though, right?
Oh, it was so good. Would have been better with some smoked butter.
I think that smoked butter would be good to like cook some steak in too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels like that's
Yeah,
the move for
it's-
sure.
For real.
What's
It's not
fascinating
bad.
about this fry bread, though, it's like, I've had fry bread, but I'm like Tennessee County Fair fry bread.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is just funnel cake, essentially. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
This is like not sweet, but like in a good way. It's
Yeah.
very.
It's reminiscent. And I've had it a couple times.
Yeah.
Not just from Mike, obviously.
No.
Yeah, it is kind of reminiscent a little of what you would call fair food, in that it is like fried bread. I mean, the name is accurate.
Yep.
So it's got that like fluffy yet dense inside, kind of like a donut. It's got the crispy exterior like a donut. Are you pulling up the recipe?
I'm pulling up the recipe.
That's what I should have done. Is I should have looked at the recipe at all and then guessed.
I mean, this
the
is
recipe.
Also,
like,
really quick, if anybody wants this recipe that we're eating right now, nativeaudio.com/recipes. It'll actually literally
Boom.
take you to the website. Recipe is there, and then also if you need to know how to cook it, I actually did a whole cooking video with Pretty
Did you
Bird
really?
Woman. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. We literally, I mean, like Food Network style. We literally,
I love that so much.
yeah, we
Sam
literally.
showed me you were have to push him to buy the pedal. It's like on the back of the pedal,
No.
so buy it.
Yeah, I say it's like the Resi Rachel Ray, where like you literally, where you literally just have a Resi grandma show you like how to get.
I gotta say,
how to get the
Why
job
isn't
done.
that a show already?
I'm pretty
I
sure,
don't know.
like Mike, I think actively goes out of his way to like, well, you don't have to buy my stuff if you don't want. Like I was like, hey Mike, I want to buy your pedal. Who should I like?
Yeah, and he goes, well,
Who's the go to Willis? Just go to. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
but like you get more. No, we like the local guys.
yeah.
Ironically,
Ironically, the Eastgate Jungle Gym.
well, this
so,
is why I started pushing for the pedal meetups. Is
Yeah.
I bought Ghost Ridge and Wilderness Delay, and I took it home, and the Wilderness Delay was making a noise. I messaged him, hey, it's making this noise. Sent him a video of it, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna send you another one just with the return. Just send it back. And I'm like, I mean, I could have kept both pedals. I'm just kidding. I would never do that to Mike.
No, but you could have. But you could have.
It was, you just sent it to me. Thimble Wasp, I had make a custom pedal for me. And then my open mic gig, which was my main source of income at the time, got pulled out from under me. And and so I was like, hey, it's going to be a couple months until I have the money for that.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll just send it to you. I know you're good for it. Like, all these Ohio guys love pedals. And they just, like Mike said, they just like talking about it. They just want people to play music and have fun and build pedals. Again, I came on to Native Audio because Dogman, who was in Ohio at the time, was like, oh, if you like this, you should check out Native Audio.
Please, by all means.
And it just kind of went back and forth over and over again to where, like, then I got into this pedal guy, then I got into this pedal guy.
Yeah.
And nobody's like, buy my pedal, please. It's more like, this is what we do and we love it.
Yeah.
We'd love for you to love our pedal, but
Yeah.
more importantly, we'd love for you to love playing.
But how do we get you to love us back? You know what I mean?
And I mean, I feel like a Native Audio disciple at this point, just because.
You are.
What are your favorite pedals? Have you looked at Native Audio? Yes, Tyler, we've looked at Native Audio. Move on. No, but they got a new one coming out. You should buy it.
Dude, we'll happily accept you. You're already in the Native Audio event.
Have you tried
This is
that
good.
yet?
This is
So that's from Costello. I should mention it is a hemp-derived THC beverage. Is that okay?
Oh dang! I gotta drive.
It's
Yes.
not strong for me,
Right, exactly. But I'd hate to
I
point in
literally-
the wrong direction.
I literally just grabbed it because I love grape soda.
I feel bad. I had my note. I would have given you my other grape.
I seen what is that? Wild Bills. Yeah, that is that has got me. Yeah, like craving grape, and also we got grape jelly. The
I'm so
Smuckers.
sorry. I had no idea.
No, you're fine, dude.
You're
You're
fine.
fine. You're fine. What else is it?
I haven't been here much recently, so it's like all leftovers from early summer. Which one is that?
Ginger ale.
Ginger. I bet that goes crazy.
I love ginger ale. I'm like,
I love
like
the Wild Bills brand across the board. They show up at a lot of festivals. They just set up some fun stuff for us here.
Yeah.
I don't think they use cane sugar, so it's all
Okay.
like the ingredients are pretty simple, and I think they might also be caffeine free. Yes, they are generally caffeine.
Okay. Yeah, I like ginger ale, root beer, like those kind of like classic flavors. You know.
We were drinking birch beer earlier today.
Birch beer.
Huge fan. I love a classic flavor.
Heck yeah.
Like anything where you're like, take root beer, add extra root. You're welcome to take that home if you want.
Okay.
If you want to, I mean, by all means, it's delicious. Triple X root beer goes pretty hard too.
Yeah, I don't know if I got a.
Mark knows about the beverages.
Yes, I know a lot about
Is
root
this
beers.
good?
Oh, I think it's great. Please. Oh my
I don't
gosh,
need
yeah.
to swap again.
No, dude, by all means, I love it. Look, this is kind of fun. I think people probably want to know what's in my fridge generally anyway.
It's like a
It's a
thing.
great time for me to reach out to my sponsors and potential sponsors to remind you that you have a chance to fill that and make everybody drink it instead of just relying on my personal taste. Triple X root beer. Here's a fun story about that. Is it twist off? Does it say?
It does. I don't think it twists.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Give a pop
And I'll tell you a story.
Yeah. This literally looks triple X trademark
It's
registered.
solid. So here you are.
I'm stupid excited for this. I love.
I'll tell you a fun
freaking
little story.
root
So I
beer.
was in Chicago a couple weekends ago for a concert.
Yeah.
And on my way out there, I had a fun thing. So I let me back up. I guest starred on this show called Top Vegan. I was a guest judge.
Hells
It was
yeah.
great. And one of the chefs ran his special that I really love that he made for us on the show. It was like one of the top 2 or 3 dishes that I tried out there. Honestly, for me, it was like top 1 or 2. He's running a special in Indy, so I stopped out to get this vegan pasta dish he made that was incredible. I'm not vegan, but I drove out of my way to have a vegan meal.
Absolutely.
I just want to tell you, that's like, I tell other people, because carnivores get weird sometimes. But anyway, so we did that. I'm in Chicago on my way back, solid, right? So I'm driving back through it, and I saw the sign on my way out. It's a XXX family restaurant. And I was like, is this nudity or is it beer? And it was neither, right?
Yeah.
No, I just thought it was so funny. I messaged one of my buddies that's from West Lafayette. I was like, hey, is this worth my time? He goes, oh, yeah. And he names this 2 sandwiches have stupid names. They're like, I'm not stupid. I'm sorry. That's mean. But like, it's just dumb names. They just sound like generic AI white people names.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is the Dubliner. Or this is the Charles Bernheim. I don't even know. But he was like, make sure you try root beer. So I see the root beer. I was like, oh, okay. And it kind of looked familiar to me. I was like, okay, this looks somewhat familiar. I'm excited about it. So I get in there, I order the burger you're supposed to, which has a smear of peanut butter on it.
Get out of here. Go home.
Dude,
Whoa.
it went, and mind you, it's like
understand.
it's like crispy diner cheeseburger.
I understand.
Too. Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, so you know what's so funny? He was like, do you like peanut butter? I was like, kind of. I was like, I like it. I
love peanut butter, but
dude, it was so good. In a way that I almost can't describe, because I think they used the perfect amount. It was not a sweet peanut butter. Like, the whole thing went really well. Anyway.
Did it taste like peanut butter?
Ish. Like, it's like
Peanut
you get like
butter,
a natural peanut butter, and it's very nutty.
Yeah.
So it just added this nice, like, this is a sentence I can't wait to be quoted from me forever. Added this nut profile.
Nut profile.
Nut profile to my meat, and then I shoved it in my mouth.
Yes.
But seriously, it was delicious. I think the thing was this. There wasn't a ton of it. And it was enough to make it work. And the fact of the matter is, you have like
another
juicy
dimension.
Well, dude, they made a juicy little diner smash burgers. It was like burger,
smash
cheese.
Burger is the key there.
Yeah, you get the crispy meat. The little Maillard reaction. I get so hyped out.
And diner burgers are always a little too salty, so the peanut butter probably just like
mellowed it
Dude,
out a little
okay,
bit.
Honestly,
Mark, okay.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, if you're trying it at home, small smear. And like natural peanut butter. But anyway, it was good. And the guy's just ripping bottles of this. Now, mind you, I'm on a road trip, so he pours me a mug, and I'm like, oh my God, that's good. And I just crushed through the first one.
Was the mug frosted?
Of course it was frosted. Dude, it was great. It was like I walked into a Lana Del Rey music video.
Hell.
Right? It was like so
Diner smash burger, frosted mug.
And then this dude's just like, I'm no joke. He's like long pouring root beers all over the bar the whole time. I'm like, this is crazy. And he's like, yeah. And so I stopped on the way out, and he's like, do you guys sell it anywhere else? He goes, yeah, probably a couple places. And I'm like, I bet I sell it. And so then I went out as soon as I got back in on Tuesday or whatever. I was like, oh, I'm going to get Triple X root beer. So we have it here. It's great.
Hell yeah. That's fascinating.
It tastes super delicious. This is exactly what I want in a root beer. It's like, I don't know, it's just got all around bowl. Like,
you gotta have that bite.
Exactly.
That like wintergreen bite that people are like, oh, that's wintergreen. I'm like, I know. Please don't let me ruin it for you. But like,
and it's also like, with like more, I don't know, like the other like corn syrupy type of like pop, like you end up getting this like stupid gross back taste.
Yep, it's just like sticky in your mouth.
It's sticky in your mouth. Yeah. And just like, you don't get that with this. It's good. It's delicious.
Pairs well with some fry bread.
Oh, it pairs
really
perfectly.
Well, speaking of, what a beautiful episode, boys. I think we crossed through pretty good.
Yeah, it was great.
Yes.
Mike, congratulations. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I'm glad I can eat your culture as well.
Oh man, I really appreciate it. I really do thank you guys for having me on. This is
my pleasure.
This is such a cool way to I don't know, just do native audio.
Yeah, and thanks for telling your stories. I appreciate that. If you ever get something new coming down the pipeline, come on back and promote it.
Yeah.
So recipe online if you want to try the food.
Yeah.
Buy nice ingredients from Junglejims.
Absolutely.
Yep, true, yeah. I say buy the pedals from him, then buy the ingredients from us.
And then
you got the recipe.
And then
Pretty
November
Bird Woman
3rd,
knows what's up.
Come out. Yeah, shout out to Pretty Bird Woman.
Yes.
She's now been talked about multiple times nationally, but now her food's been talked
And also,
about.
shout out to
she's awesome.
Better Butter's pumpkin spice. I can't believe how much I love it in a combo here. It's like, this feels like the perfect fall treat.
I think that's, I'm probably the first person to ever have that with fry bread, and we are, and I think that legit is really good, especially for like the time of season right now.
Absolutely. Put your fall on.
Like, this is one of those, I'm like, I need to get this out of a truck somewhere in a small town. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Wait, you guys do have that here, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I think it's on sale this week, too.
I didn't want to break my heart, Okay.
They would never do that. They have a chocolate one. Some lady just told us.
You buy the chocolate one. I was like,
All right, you're scaring us, lady. Just trying to all right, well, nativeaudio.com for all that good stuff. Mike, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Tyler, welcome back as always. Pleasure, buddy.
Super pleasure.
Yeah, well, we'll see you on November 3rd for your pedal show.
November 3rd.
Sounds
Fretboard Blue Ash.
That's right. Awesome. All right. Well, on that note, guys, thank you all. I don't know how to thank you properly. Thank you all so much for listening to the show. If you haven't, yes, join me on YouTube to watch along so you can see all the delicious stuff that we ate as well as the fun pedals that we set up today. And on that, I'll see you out there in the aisles.
The Jungle Gyms podcast is recorded in the WJJI studio inside Jungle Gyms International Market in Fairfield, Ohio. The Jungle Gyms podcast is produced and hosted by Mark Borison.